The former governor of Minnesota, professional wrestler and Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura joins the program tonight. He's the host of a new program on Aura.tv entitled Off the Grid. Aside from completing his latest book, They Killed Our President, Ventura has recently floated his name as a possible candidate for the presidency of the United States in 2016. With radio talk show host Howard Stern as a possible running mate, and already a grassroots movement is rising up to support the Ventura-Stern 2016 ticket. Tonight, the governor joins us live from his studio in Mexico. We'll discuss his new show, Off the Grid. We'll get his thoughts on Edward Snowden, Christie, current events, and of course, his possible run for the Oval Office. Welcome to the show, Governor.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Governor, let's jump right into it. As a former Navy SEAL, you understand and respect the chain of command and the risk posed by leaked information. As a former governor, you know the value of protecting sensitive information related to your administration. With regards to Edward Snowden, how do you feel about his leaks and the information he's disclosed to the American public?
I think that Edward Snowden is a hero. I think that the bottom line is this, that supersedes everything else. The government was violating the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and they were lying about it. And that is the law, that's the fabric of the law of the land. Those are the documents that protect us as citizens from our government becoming abusive. And when the government violates those laws, any government employee who brings that to the attention of the public is a hero, because the public needs to know when the government violates the Constitution of the Bill of Rights. And I'd like to say, how come no one in the government is ever held responsible when they do that? How come they never go to jail or lose their jobs in any way, shape, or form when they violate the Constitution and the Bill of Rights?
Now, German public television recently interviewed Edward Snowden. It never saw the light of day on American media outlets, except here. We actually broadcasted unedited on WHDT. Some online outlets aired only excerpts of the interview. Why do you suppose the American national media outlets chose not to broadcast that sensitive interview?
Well, because they want him portrayed as a villain. The government has told the mainstream media that Snowden's a villain. So therefore, they don't want the people to hear directly from Mr. Snowden because it might change their opinion. So that's what you're seeing right here is censorship. I mean, if the government was above board, they would have, and the media, mainstream, were above board, the Snowden interview should have been highlighted in prime time and played to every citizen in the nation so that we can be made aware and be knowledgeable about the whole situation.
So who benefits then? Who benefits if that information does not reach the American public?
Well, certainly the American people don't benefit because information's being withheld from us. How do we benefit from that? We're supposed to have open government in this country. I understand there's a need for secrecy at a certain level, but after time passes, the government is abusing. They are abusing when they say national defense, or we can't, that's used to abuse so that we can't know what they're doing.
Now, moving on to New Jersey, Christie's aides and quite possibly Christie himself risked the lives of children and certainly disrupted the lives of many for days by blocking traffic on the George Washington Bridge. What do you make of this scandal? You were a governor, of course, and his use of state resources, or alleged use of state resources, to fulfill a political vendetta affecting so many people.
Well, it's a classic example, again, of the two political parties putting their party in front of the country. Their political party and their political power is more important than doing what's right for the nation. I saw it when I was governor. You see it constantly, the government shutdown. How much more do you need to know to watch that? They put their parties first. And for Governor Christie, I mean, why on earth would he do that? He won. Why would you punish anyone after you won?
Do you think
that part just baffles me.
Do you think he should resign?
I don't know enough about it to say that he should resign or not. I think that ultimately it's left into the voters' hands of New Jersey, but certainly I don't think it's helped his chances to run for president right now because, he was the odds-on favorite, was going to represent the GOP, probably against Hillary Clinton of the Democratic Party. We don't know right now, but, so maybe the Republicans are scrambling now to find a replacement for Christie.
Now let's go back to November 2011. Following the dismissal of your lawsuit against the TSA, you stated, to the press that America had become a fascist nation. Why do you believe that to be true?
Well, because corporations have taken over. The Supreme Court has ruled corporations have the same rights as people. We now have corporations contributing untold amounts of money into our election system. We have wars being fought to benefit corporations, not the country. That's the reason I made that statement, because that's the basic definition of fascism, is when corporations and organized religion take over government.
Are you going to pursue the lawsuit any further against the TSA?
No. How can I? They ruled that, I found it astounding, even my attorneys did, that the federal judge ruled she doesn't have jurisdiction. Well, how can that be when it's a federal question? It's a Bill of Rights question. I sued under the Fourth Amendment. If she doesn't have jurisdiction, then no one does. And that's what people should learn from this. They should understand that when you go to any airport in America today, you are not protected by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. And in fact, in my court case, the judge even asked me to cite a time I was abused at the airport, and my attorney stepped in and said the governor can't do that because of national security. He's not allowed to know the rules. Now, how silly is that? How can we, the citizens, not even know what they're allowed to do to us at airports? So people need to be clear. They can do anything they want to you at an airport. You won't know if they're allowed to do it or not because the government will not tell you.
Now, you're talking about the Fourth Amendment. Let's go to the Second Amendment now. The right to keep and bear arms and the well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Yet, British citizen Piers Morgan feels he needs to present his case for banning guns in America. Dianne Feinstein supports the so-called assault weapons ban. Both of these individuals were following former Obama Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel's advice when he said never let a crisis go to waste immediately following the Sandy Hook tragedy. Should there be any restrictions to Americans owning guns?
No. It's in the Second Amendment, and people forget the fact. They always like to tell you, well, we're not going to take away your hunting and fishing. That has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. When the Second Amendment was written, if you didn't hunt or fish, you didn't eat. It was that simple. That was a given. The Second Amendment is there so that we, the citizens, have the ability, if our government becomes abusive, we have the ability to bear arms and stand up to our own government. That's why it's written. That's the Democrat or the liberal assault on the Bill of Rights. They're going to try to get rid of the Second Amendment while the other side gets rid of the Fourth Amendment. You saw the First Amendment go down the drain during the Wall Street protests. They were run off with pepper spray and dogs. Now, people should have supported the Wall Street protests, even if you didn't support what they were doing. You should have supported their right to do it, because someday you may want to protest, and now they're going to run you off with pepper spray and dogs. I found it total hypocrisy when over in Syria we're championing their protest, while at the same time the Wall Street protest here is people are being clubbed down and run off with dogs and pepper spray.
So why does individuals like Dianne Feinstein, why do they want to restrict gun ownership in America? What drives them? What motivates them?
Well, look at it this way. I was in the Philippines the day Ferdinand Marcos became a dictator, right? You know what the first thing he did? He gave the people, I think, 10 to 14 days to turn in all guns, or it was the death penalty. Now, why would a dictator make that his number one priority? And let me also add this. In the last century, there have been about 5 major genocides committed by government mass murdering people. They were all done in countries that had very strong gun control. That means the people had no way to fight back. And that's where you had the genocides take place. I can't tell you why Dianne Feinstein thinks like she does, but she is wrong. The Second Amendment is there so that I and any other citizen in this country has the right to bear arms. You know, I have a gun safe, and I've never come home and found my guns disobeying. I've never come into the house and heard them going off in the basement where I had to go down and discipline my guns. People forget it is nothing but a tool, and it takes a human element to make it work. Case in point, The Colorado theater shooting. They didn't tell you that this guy passed 2 theaters, went farther away to a 3rd theater. The reason? The 3rd theater had a sign in the window, guns not allowed. And he bypassed the 2 that didn't have that. That's interesting, isn't it?
Interesting fact. Well, you mentioned those genocides. So let me ask you, do you believe that if guns were to be removed from the ability of Americans to hold them, do you believe that we could witness an American Holocaust here?
I don't know if we could witness an American Holocaust. I wouldn't go that far necessarily. But let me give it to you this way. In the great country of Mexico, they practice strict gun control in Mexico. And yet there's 20,000 gun deaths a year because it's the old classic saying, when the good people don't have them, only the bad guys got them. And that's the problem you have here in Mexico is you got the drug cartels are armed to the teeth. I might add, where do they get them all from? The United States of America provides all the weapons. You know, we ought to look in the mirror when you talk guns and Feinstein talks guns. How about the U.S.? We're the biggest distributor of weapons throughout the world. When the United States government